Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee Talk with a reunited team. Jeff, you had last week off. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. Not a lot has changed in the last week, just so you know, just rest assured.
There's a tree.
There is a tree behind us, because actually a whole season has changed.
That's right. That's right. Do you know what's really funny? I had last week off.
Yes.
I don't remember exactly why we planned that week, but it was a good week for most things. You did mention on Sunday, the timing was funny, but
I did.
For other things, it was a good timing. I thought it was American Thanksgiving. And so I was all excited. I was going to celebrate American Thanksgiving because I'm from America. And we're all from North America. I was from the United States. It was United States Thanksgiving. Anyways, I called my dad to wish him a happy Thanksgiving. And he's like, "You're a week early." And I looked at the calendar and I thought, oh man, I took the wrong week.
Could you imagine if you had flown all the way to Michigan? Yeah. You've been like, "Hey Dad, I'm home." And he's like, "Why?"
Yeah, so anyways, that was my funny thing.
I have once shown up a whole day early to a ferry.
Oh yeah.
We all misread the calendar. I mean, Shin and I were traveling through New Zealand at the time, and we just lost track of days, and we're like, "Hey." Yeah. They're like, "Yeah, your ferry's tomorrow." Oh.
Gotta find a place to stay again.
Oh, it was whatever. No, it worked out. But anyways, we're glad to have you back. It is fact, but it is, as this comes out, real American Thanksgiving, right? Not just
Yes.
Which I feel is not the real Thanksgiving. I'm going to put that out there. No. This is like Black Friday Eve. That's what U.S. Thanksgiving is. It's not a holiday of thankfulness anymore. But anyways, it's the how do I not get trampled at Walmart day. Anyways, it's always a good day to be thankful. Mm-hmm. We do want to look back though on the conclusion of our Bring the Kingdom series, and we ended with hospitality. Maybe I'm missing something. Did we plan to do hospitality on Soup Sunday? Or was it like, we're going to do hospitality on this day? Oh, that also would be the really best day to do soup, not really thinking about the theme, but just when it worked on the calendar, not too close to Christmas, not too...
I'm sorry to say, but it was literally just that date. Because it was, not on the Women's Day, but it was we don't want to go too close to beginning of November.
Right.
So, no, it just kind of worked out.
And Jeff was like, which of these virtues do you want to do? And I'm like, I'll do hospitality. I feel like that's fun. And then that's why it ended up being the last. And it just happened.
Yeah.
And
as many things seem to do in God's work.
It's almost like there's some spirit in all of us causing us to, head in a common direction. But anyways, we were talking about hospitality. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to try and leave us with 3 action points, which we often do. We just because it's one thing to, we read the Bible and okay, great. It's not just, we don't just look at it because it's a nice thing to do, but because we actually want to grow by doing so. So 3 action points, ways we can grow in this. And the first was notice, make space, and meet needs. Mm-hmm. Those are kind of the 3. And so, I know we were talking before. Where are those? What are some things that help you notice others? And I know in the Sunday, as you think, we focused heavily on the specific categories of people that Jesus was encouraging them to notice and invite. Mm-hmm. But I think we have people all around us that we need to notice and begin inviting into the kingdom in different ways. And so, what helps you notice others? Is it a place you go? Is it a routine you've developed? Mm-hmm. What sorts of things?
It's really random, but quite often I find myself between, this event and that event, having to stop at a superstore, or let's just say a general food store in the West Side.
A large one, maybe, like a super-sized food store?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah.
And quite often I'll be in the middle of a podcast or a book or something like that. So as I'm driving, I'll be listening to something, thinking about stuff, and then I find I really like having something in my ear as I'm going around, because it's a kind of a mindless activity. As long as I can, see my list, get the things, get out, get on with my life, and we got other running around to do as a family. the times when I have resisted the urge to just put something in my ear and actually just do what I'm doing, all of a sudden my attention for other people around me changes immensely. Even though I think there's times to listen to things and to actually pay attention and enjoy some of those podcasts and reflect on them, for me, recently, it's just been speaking volumes when I leave that outside or in my pocket, so that as I'm walking around, I actually hear conversations and I see people and I look them in the eye, whereas the rest of the time, it's like, excuse me, pardon me, I have to get through to get to my thing, to get to the checkout, to get on with my life. And yeah, Superstore actually, I feel like, is a place where you meet, you know, humanity, for lack of a better word, because people are just doing kind of all of life there. Maybe not recreation, maybe not other things, but like they're planning a lot of life out there, and there's a lot of interactions that you get to see and think about and communicate with, and people you can talk with even in a very common way, and just, hey, how's your day going?
Yeah.
Good. Enjoy those beans.
Yeah.
It'd be very hard for me if I worked in a produce section not to ask everybody how you like them apples.
Slam it up on the wall.
Anyways,
You know what's, for me, there's a place that has become when you talk about creating a space, I don't know if that's exactly the way that's the way I'm interpreting it. I have to walk the dogs on a regular basis, and I've just discovered right close to my house a dog park where they can go off leash that I didn't really realize how valuable that would be until I got a puppy, and so much energy, and it's just better to let him go and run around with other dogs than just to walk him around the block. So I've been going to that dog park, and it's amazing how many people I've met at that dog park and got to know and talked to and heard their story. You know, you said, talk about noticing. I notice people with their dog, and I notice when they come back, and I try to remember names. Creating space, I think you meant to hear their story, and that we just walk around and hear their story.
Yeah,
right?
and that's only one part of it. I mean, we could talk lots about different
Yeah.
ways we need to create space for others, but keep going.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I'm starting to notice some needs, that I can possibly meet. I've already had opportunity a little bit, and looking for more, and so that seems to be a space, a way that I'm seeing those three things. One way, and I just wanted to say, you've talked about noticing the outcast, but we're all outcasts somewhere. Do you know? So like the first time you come into a church building, you're kind of an outcast. Like you're not really part of it. So I want to expand that to say, do we notice the people that come in our doors when we're here?
Yeah.
Do we notice the people that are outside of our comfort zone? That's what I see a lot of you, and I try to do that. Notice people that are new or something, and say hi, and I see us doing that. Those are some things.
I think that's a really good point. I don't want to take away from that, but there is a difference between an outcast and someone who's unfamiliar or stranger.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think there's a lot of places where I could go where I would be an unfamiliar stranger and I'd be outside of the normal, but I suspect I wouldn't truly be an outcast there.
Right. Yeah.
And I think I would probably have to try very hard to become an outcast. Whereas everybody who comes through here might be disenfranchised. They might not be, church might not be a safe place. We see this, and at least a few times a year, whether it's for an election or back when we had like the blood services here or different groups like that. When we've had like our party in the parking lot, right? Our appreciation day, kids coming in being like, I've never been in a church before. What's it like? What am I going to experience? I get that going to other churches I've never been to before because I'm curious, right? What am I going to see in this place? How do they set it up differently? But, so there is that unfamiliarity where we sometimes feel like an outcast, but we're not treated like that.
I was going to say, like, sometimes that might feel like the difference, like, it's how you feel when you step into that space. like your perception of how others maybe see you.
Yeah.
Even though you're right, like it's not, you're not actually an outcast, right? So,
Right, and I think Jesus was challenging them to question their assumptions about what an outcast is.
Yeah.
Because there was an assumption that if you were a certain way, you were outcast from God. And Jesus was trying to say, actually, no. But I think your point was still really good, right? People come in here that we need to notice. We need to welcome them in and help them feel included because probably they feel super awkward about it. And we can do a lot to show hospitality.
And
Yeah,
just like an ogre, that actually has many, many layers because you have, somebody walking in the door on a Sunday morning, but then there's also layers to that. Okay, to a soup, right? There's layers to that sense of hospitality. There's layers even once you get them into a life group. There's actually layers of that sense of like reception and hospitality. I think there's even layers right even down to our own families sometimes as well too, of how we're actually inviting each other into our lives and actually like having that sense of closeness. Because I think there's a lot of families that could just go all of their own ways in separate directions and never look each other in the eye once all week long.
Yeah. I think that's what I was trying to get at, is hospitality has many layers.
Yeah.
And you
Like an
touched-
ogre.
You touched on the, Jesus was challenging us to notice the outcast, and that's for sure. But we don't just do that. Like
No, absolutely.
with everybody. Yeah,
Absolutely. We need to go be right, because if we focus just on, say, the homeless community in West Kelowna to the exclusion of others, we would miss the people that God is bringing to us.
Yeah.
Then who He would want us to say, welcome these people in.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's more of a like, it's good for us to check our prejudices, because we all have prejudices without realizing it,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's what that was. But the general call to notice is, like, I think of different people who, like, walk by here every day. Some of the middle school students who walk by my house every single day. I see them weekly. Like, earlier this fall, at one of the Hot Dog Wednesdays, right across the street at the Alliance Church from CNB. I'm there every Wednesday hanging out with middle school students who are just hanging out after school. And one of them's like, on one of the first weeks, he's like, hey, I recognize you. He's like, I'm like, oh, of course I recognize him because he walks by my house every day on his way to school. And, we just talked about that, how we live on the same street. And, have that connection point.
Well, and I wrote down your definition from the guy that spoke at our conference. It's hospitality is the creative and intentional pursuit of relationship.
That's right.
And what a better example of that than what you just said. I recognize you.
Yeah.
You're noticing. And
That's right.
Yeah.
And noticing then leads into,
Yeah.
ways that we can, because he tells great stories about how his restaurant began by noticing and paying attention to the people coming in. What are they talking about? Without, obviously they're eavesdropping, but in a way to create something special. They would, like, check they just pay attention. He told the story about one guy, booking a table, expressing that he's a little nervous about how his dad's going to like this place because it's not really his kind of a place. And so they went above and beyond by just being able to serve Bud Light or whatever, right?
Right.
Went
out to another store.
They didn't serve it, but they would
Yeah.
serve the beer that
Yeah.
the dad would like so that he would be more comfortable in their restaurant.
Right. Yeah.
And things like that. Now, we're not going to start, having a wet bar in the foyer, but, what other sorts of things can we do around here, around our block and our neighborhood where we live, just to sort of say, hey, I notice you, here's something we can do together. Maybe it's a strip of undeveloped, like, land that's notorious for collecting trash. Oh, we'll just clean that up. Or, you've got the, whatever it is.
I think even one recent one is kind of meeting people where they're at. We've had a few babies born, having some baby showers, like just saying, let us provide for you. I see this need in your life.
Yeah.
It's kind of tailor-made for you.
Yeah.
It's not going to serve everybody, but actually we're seeing and noticing you and your situation.
Absolutely. I make a point to notice moving trucks on my street.
Yeah.
And sometimes have been able to, they're actually unloading. Hey, do you want a hand? And just Now, I probably should not be volunteering to move people's furniture. That might not create the best first impression. But hey, you're new, here's some cookies, or
Yeah.
welcome to the neighborhood.
It's really cool.
Something like that. Introduce yourself. We try and take a Christmas card and Christmas baking to all of our neighbors every Christmas. Just to kind of say hi, right? And we notice you. Oh, you've got kids, whatever. We then found out later that one of our neighbors actually is a professional baker, and we're like, that's kind of awkward because my cookies, but whatever. But that's when you start, because it is all about building a relationship, and it's whatever meager effort you've got. And then you keep listening, and you keep noticing, and you then look for needs. Oh, you've been off work for a long time. How's your rehab going? How you do? Do you need help with anything? Those sorts of things. It starts with noticing, having space in our schedule and our life to act on what we notice, which might lead to meeting need. But if nothing else, everybody needs community, and everybody needs relationship. Hermits die young. And pretty lonely. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good challenge. And you were mentioning that in the passage you read, compel people to come in. And I liked how you said, how do we compel? Well, we argue with them until we're blue in the face. Oh, no, that's not what you said.
No, I think it is how we try to do it, right?
Exactly.
Look
That's
at
what I
social
mean.
media, how often are we arguing with people?
Right, and that's compelling. No, it's not really. Compelling is living the virtues that we've talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, those aren't all the virtues, but those are the virtues we focused on, And I wrote them down. I'll read them one more time, but you had them on a list on
a couple times, yeah.
Gratitude, discernment, gentleness, justice, compassion, generosity, and hospitality.
Yeah.
What's more compelling than someone who lives these out? That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Well, Christmas is coming. It is the Christmas season. The ladies' banquet, Friday night. If you've got tickets, it's going to be great. Make sure you don't show up a week late for it. I guess, I don't know, maybe kind of how our conversation here started. If you're watching this the day it comes out, tonight's Thursday, and tomorrow is the banquet, and so it's going to be a wonderful evening. It really is kind of the start to Christmas season around here, even though it really starts when the Christmas dramas begin prepping, but or whatever. It starts when it starts. I've been getting Black Friday emails for a month, so I'm just as confused about what season it is as you, Jeff. But anyways, so that's this week. Next Friday is Light Up, and we could still use some help with our table. We'll be on Brown Road. Message me, and I will make sure you get on the list. That the email that's coming out this week, Tuesday. Tuesday, an email is going out with all the final details of that, so that everybody's ready. So if you can help, love it. We still need more help there.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and the more we have huddled together in our tent, the warmer we'll all be.
We stay,
That's right.
It's all good. Yeah, that's pretty fun.
It's pretty good. And that's that Friday. And then right the Sunday after that, so starting the 8th, our sanctuary gets converted to the Gifts of Hope toy shop. And so there's ways to sign up, a little QR code you can follow, which reminds me, I still need to do that. I love helping with that. I've had the privilege over the years of not only helping with the setup and seeing the incredible crew that comes in and transforms it, but also just praying with people as they come in. What an opportunity to notice, make space, meet some needs, like this particular event that we get to partner with the Salvation Army on. And so if you're able to help that week, there's ways to do so, and you can follow the link below and sign up for that. Anything else that people need to be aware of this week? I mean, before we know it, we'll blink and it'll be Christmas Eve.
That's a lot of stuff,
There's lots more we'll talk about in the coming weeks there.
That's great.
Otherwise, thanks for spending some time with us, and we hope to connect face to face real soon.